Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Lead podcast, but it's also just a YouTube video that you found, like the smart person that you are. We're talking about 3 ways roofers waste money on Google Ads. I'm with Vincenzo Colosimo.
Hello.
Can you say your name out loud so everyone in the comments can also say your name?
Vincenzo Colosimo.
Colosimo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest ways that roofers waste their Google ad budget?
Well, there's a lot of creative ways to waste your money on Google Ads. That's the wonderful thing about Google and Google Ads is they'll take your money if you want to give it to them.
So you're saying that you can't just like put a smart campaign on Google and get the best ad, like the best return on investment?
No, absolutely not. Smart campaigns, I mean, we could do a whole podcast about smart campaigns.
Let's not.
No, there's tons of different ways to waste money. I think the biggest thing just comes down to organization and having a poor organization in your account and just like low intent. And by intent, I mean like not going after the things that your customers want to buy from you.
Let's say you have a $20,000 ad account, and you take it over from somebody who's doing like broad match campaigns and just kind of barely working on the copy. What's the realistic amount that's getting wasted? How much money is getting wasted when people aren't trying that hard on Google Ads?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to say, like, in general. It's obviously case by case.
Give an example that you've seen recently, percentage.
I would say that, I mean, up to 30% of ad spend can be wasted pretty easily.
6K. Yeah. So out of 20K, 6K can be wasted easily if you're not doing what things? What are the things that people are wasting 6K out of 20 on?
So, I mean, you can easily waste all 20K too. You can very easily do that. Most times a contractor is gonna have at least some semblance of going after their service in some way, shape, or form. Even if the match types are off or the ad copy is really, really bad, they're at least going in the right direction in a way, so I wouldn't expect 100% of their ad spend.
Well, let's zoom in on that 6K, that 30% that's getting wasted. What are the main problems?
The main problems are kind of what I touched on briefly, like, and you said too, broad match keywords. So just kind of opening the floodgates.
Explain broad match keywords to me like I'm 5.
Yes, so you have a lollipop and you're on the playground and you have a couple of friends that you'd like to share your candy with, right, or your lollipop. If you have a broad match lollipop, all the kids on the playground, they might still be kids that like candy, but you don't want to necessarily share your candy with them. If you have a phrase match lollipop, you're not going to attract as many off-topic friends or people you don't like.
Yeah, because if I'm a kid on the playground, if I'm a roofer,
yes,
that's trying to get his services out to the world,
yes, I
I only want like certain people.
Right.
I definitely don't want like people in apartments to get my lollipop.
Yes. Or
my ad spend.
Right. Or people searching for Home Depot roofing supplies.
Yes, because they're just trying to do it themselves. We can flip them though, right? But it's probably not the best expense. It's not the best way to spend money.
Super top of the funnel, right? Yeah. Like not very close to making a purchasing decision.
So would you say Google Ads, you want it to be bottom of the funnel only?
I wouldn't say exclusively. I mean, I think the great thing about Google Ads is that there's room for testing. And there is room to talk to your sales team and say, hey, we're going to go after some that are maybe we're going to talk about cost, which has super high search volume, roof replacement cost. And we're going to try and put together a script or go through a training on how we can try and flip these people that are calling about cost into people that actually want to replace their roof.
Or you could send them to a calculator like we're doing with DreamWorks Exteriors, where we're going to be able to send them to a calculator we're working on right now.
Yeah.
And try to get them to go through the whole calculation. And
yeah, I would preface too though that like that's not a big percentage of what I want to focus on is like testing these softer top of the funnel things. Yeah. If a client wants to do that and they're like, hey, we've got some extra money for testing this month, let's spend 10% of our efforts seeing if we can flip some of these certain types of searches, then we do that, but it's never going to be a core of our focus.
Okay. So you mentioned Home Depot roofing supplies, or let's say Home Depot shingles.
Home Depot, that's the people that go to Home Depot.
The Home Depot that want shingles. How do you how do you make sure that you're not showing up for those searches?
Yeah, it's a combination of match types, and then a big thing too is negative keywords. So right away, at Hook we have a master negative keyword list. I don't think we've come across a single roofer that wants to show up for, anywhere from 50 to 100 terms along the lines of rooftop bar, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, things like that. So we basically, negative keywords, as they sound, are the opposite of keywords, and they're telling Google this is what we don't want to show up for. So if someone uses this term, depending on the match type of the negative keyword, someone uses this term in their search, it's going to tell Google, hey, company XYZ doesn't want to show an ad when that is in the search bar.
So right now, roofers could go to their Google ad account, and whether they are doing the ads themselves or whether an agency is doing them, and see how many negative keywords they have.
Yeah.
And maybe that could tell them how much work is being done or how much is being wasted.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, a big thing that you want to know more than anything is what are people searching? And that is another report within Google Ads, pretty easily accessible, even if you're not experienced with Google Ads, is the search terms report. So you can look through your search terms report within the whatever date range and find what people have searched in order to trigger your keyword. And there should be negative keywords added on the front end for sure, but negative keywords are ongoing maintenance. So you're looking through the search terms and stuff's gonna slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And if you're doing kind of like these broad match things or smart campaigns or whatever, they also, I've showed up for like hooks, chicken and fish,
right,
or whatever. Like,
great restaurant, but
yeah, I don't want people that are trying to go there trying to get here.
Yeah,
they'd be disappointed. We don't have as much chicken and fish.
Yeah, and small note: smart campaigns, you can't look at the search terms report.
Really?
Well, to my knowledge, smart campaigns are basically 100% automated. So you're not targeting specific keywords, you're kind of targeting topics, almost like local service ads.
So if you're doing a smart campaign, it just might be a little disconcerting that you might be spending a bunch of money on rooftop bar when people are not trying to find a roofer, basically.
Yeah, I think the most difficult thing with like a smart campaign is you just don't have much control. It's kind of like casting a big old net out there and trusting Google to reel in the good stuff. And it's just kind of difficult to like have attribution, what's working, what's not working. There's not much room for optimization. You're just relying on the overlord Google to bring you your money.
And it really comes down to, do you trust the overlords?
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah, we love them. Yeah. We love them so much. Yeah. I mean, real question, like, just an agency in general that's going to be tight, that's going to help you narrow it down. Not all agencies are great, but there's a lot of good agencies that are going to help you narrow the search terms, create really effective ads, etc. Would you call that a hook instead of the net?
You might call it a hook. I wasn't even going for that, but yes, you might call it. I would say, to take it a little bit farther, it's rather than using a generic bait or a big net, you're fishing for, salmon, and you're using salmon-specific bait with a campaign that you're in control of and optimizing.
I love that. So talk to me about copywriting. Yeah. Another big mistake that we've seen lately as we've taken over some ad accounts is people using generic copy all over the site. So how do you make better copy? Like, I mean, you're the one that told me this. It's bad that it's the same ad over and over again for different keywords. So how are you trying to scale out within our company? How are you trying to scale out, and how can other people do this? Better copy.
Yeah, I think the core of everything has to be custom. It has to be from the keywords that we're targeting to the ad copy. It has to be custom. It can't be a cookie cutter template. Sure, you can get some leads, but there's going to be more of that waste. When it comes to ad copy, it also comes down to intent too, and that's Google speak for what are people actually trying to do when they're searching for roofing company or roof replacement. So if you have generic ad copy across your account, there's no way you're going to capture the intent of all of the keywords that you're targeting. So if I've got a roof replacement campaign, and then I have a roof repair campaign, and I have the same exact ad copy for both, there's no way I can capture the exact intent with the same exact ad copy in both of them.
A good example of this I saw on social ads recently, where somebody had a very nice looking ad that was like a story, and it was like a bunch of different temperature location, like it showed me Arizona, Minnesota, Florida, like showed a bunch of different like climates, and it said, we know the right material for any climate or something. And I'm like, why are you, this is a Minnesota roofing company, somebody rolled out this ad that's like basically saying that we can do. Part of the best part about a roofing company is the locality focus. Right. The fact that you can target a location and get really specific with what people want there.
It's probably an agency that it worked for some other national roofer, so they're like, let's throw it out here. Why not?
Yeah, this is a nice ad. We spent a lot of money on this ad. Let's just use it again. And I think that principle applies whatever your marketing is. Like, if you build it from the bottom up,
right.
It's from scratch you can. While still having the context of other roofers.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you mix in the context? Like, what do you learn? What can you carry over from other roofing campaigns that makes sense to carry over?
Yeah, I think a lot of times what we're learning more than anything is people's behavior and kind of how they interact with certain types of call to actions or certain types of different copy or different keywords that work well. So we definitely, we'll take stuff that works in another account, but it's not just going to be copy and paste. It's going to be like, this is a really good reference point. Let's see how we can make this custom to this client and use their brand to emphasize it in a different way.
I love that. I don't want to go too far into account structure because I think that's going to be boring for this audience, because I think we're mostly talking to contractors listening to this. But tell me why it matters briefly, and give me like the ideal structure. Just real quick.
Real quick, let me just explain this giant topic. No, I'm kidding. So maybe it would be better to like explain an example of like, if I got an ad account from a contractor, this is what I would expect to see.
That would be very wet.
I would expect.
Said wetter.
Did I say
better? I heard wetter.
Well, let's explain
why
kind of it's wetter.
Weird.
So I would expect to see one campaign, and I would expect to see one ad group, and I would expect to see 60 keywords that are talking about every single service you do: windows, siding, roofing, gutters, and I would expect it to see an all in one wet ad group.
Yeah.
That's a bad account structure.
Yeah.
Google doesn't know what we're trying to do.
That would be dry then.
That would be dry. We don't want a dry ad account. Google doesn't know what we're doing. There's no way we can encapsulate in ad copy all of those different topics. A good account structure is topics within each campaign, and if it's a big enough topic, ad groups are subtopics. So if you're a roofer and you do...
Why though? Tell me why this matters.
Yeah, it matters because Google can understand what you're advertising easier, and it goes back to intent. If I have it all stuffed in one, I can't make an ad that's going to talk about windows, siding, roof repair, roof replacement, and gutters, and effectively communicate all of that in 90 characters.
Okay, so where do you send these people to? I know that I'm rushing through topics, but I just want to keep it interesting for people. Yeah. When you're sending them to a website, does the website have to be good for the ad spend to go well? What are some of those essential ingredients to where you're sending them to?
Yeah, talking about like the winning landing page formula, it sounds like.
Well, yes, I would love to hear about that if you've got one for us.
Yes, yeah. There's a couple of like key elements, and if anyone in the audience is familiar with SEO landing pages, there's a little bit of contrast between like an SEO landing page and a PPC landing page. A lot of times we find that Google Ads clickers, if that's a term, are...
I'm imagining them right now. Just clicking that ad. Homeowner, they're ready. They're
Right.
tapping it on their phone.
They tend to be a little bit more of kind of window shoppers when they're finding us through ads versus finding us organically. The intent can be a little bit lower. They're looking for faster results a lot of times. So we need in our landing page to provide them faster answers, faster solutions. So we're taking an SEO page that's got great information, works well for SEO, and we're basically trimming all the fat. We want enough information on there to answer some questions, but if you have any more questions than that, go ahead and fill out the form.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so you guys even take out the menu a lot of times, I see.
yeah.
On some. Why do you guys take out the menu?
I don't want them to be able to leave the page. It sounds a little maniacal, like stay, fill out the form, but
We paid for this click.
yeah. But really,
Give us your
if
information.
you're a contractor and you're using Google Ads, you are paying for them to land on your page.
As much as like $15 a click.
As much as $100 a click or more if it's a roofing contractor or one of those competitive terms. So a lot of people can say like, oh, I've got the good keywords, I've got the good ad copy. They'll get to the landing page, it'll be fine. But I mean, the landing page can be the most important part in certain things. So it's just making it super easy to convert, funneling them back up to that form fill, and just not distracting them with a nav bar and too much content.
So I know you have opinions about Google Ads.
Yeah.
So I want to hear if you were talking to somebody who's with one of these low-end competitors of ours that are rolling out the same thing over and over again, and are making these mistakes at scale, and what would you say? Look in the camera, look in one of these cameras and which camera would you like them to look in? This one. Look in the camera and say why you think they should get another look at their ad account.
Another look at their ad account. You should know how you're spending your money. You're spending potentially a lot of money, and even if you're not, you don't want someone lazy who is just applying the same cookie cutter to your ad account, because you have a brand, you have a company that you've invested a lot of time and money and effort into, and your ad account should reflect that. And the biggest thing that I see is a big template that other agencies will apply to accounts, and they expect you to not be wise enough to know what's going on in Google Ads. So they give you the thumbs up, tell you how many crappy leads they got you this month, and you smile and leave with your goodie bag of leads that won't convert.
So what would you say to do instead?
I would say to either invest the time and energy into learning Google Ads, but if you're a roofing contractor and your life is invested in your business and you have a million other things to do, then I would hire an agency that cares about contractors and cares about doing everything custom, from websites to SEO to Google Boosts to our Google Ads accounts.
Awesome, I love it. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Vinny, how could they talk to you on social? What's the best way to kind of follow along on your journey?
Yeah, I think all my handles are the same on LinkedIn, Instagram. It's just Vincenzo _ Colosimo, VINCENZO _ COLOSIMO. Find me on LinkedIn. If you have questions about your Google Ads account, if you want a free audit, I'm happy to look through. I'll be as brutal or kind with my audit as possible.
One thing I like about people that work at Hook, I see people that won't tolerate if we ask them to lower their standard. And I know that you're busy right now, but you're basically like, we have to push out kickoffs because I need these to be good. I'm not going to put my name on anything that's not good. I'm also responsible and have a monthly call with people. So I really appreciate that about you. And I appreciate you guys for listening and watching. hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social. And see you next time. Bye.